All right, let's dive into Genesis 43. This chapter is pure cinematic drama. We're talking about a father pushed to his absolute limit and a family reunion that could either heal old wounds or completely explode. You're not going to want to miss this.
But first, let me ask you something. Really think about it. What would you risk for a piece of bread? If your family was starving, what impossible choice would you make? Because that question, that's the beating heart of the story we're walking through today. So let's set the scene. The land is starving. The grain they got from Egypt, it's gone. For Jacob and his family, every single day is about survival, and that survival now hangs by one very, very terrifying thread. We start with verse 1. The famine was severe. Just picture it. The ground is cracked, the air is thick with dust, and the silence in the house is deafening. Then, in verse 2, their father, Jacob, finally breaks that silence. You can almost hear the weight in his voice as he says, "Go back, buy us a little food." Sounds simple, right? Well, it's anything but.
Because in verses 3 through 5, Judah steps up. He's the one who has to deliver the bad news. He reminds his dad of the chilling ultimatum from that powerful Egyptian ruler. Picture Judah's face, dead serious, as he repeats the men's words, "You will not see my face unless your brother is with you." The price for food isn't money this time. It's their youngest brother, Benjamin.
And what follows is just this raw, agonizing family argument. Verse 6, their father, Israel, that's Jacob, he just lashes out in grief. "Why did you do this to me?" In verse 7, the brothers try to explain they were just being honest. But then, Judah steps in and completely changes the game. In verses 8 and 9, he looks his father in the eye and makes this unbelievable promise. "I myself will be surety for him. If I don't bring him back, let me bear the blame forever." He's literally putting his own life on the line. And in verse 10, he basically says, "Dad, if we keep waiting, we're all going to..." And it works. Judah's pledge breaks through his father's grief. With a heart that must have felt like a stone, Jacob gives in. And so begins the anxious prep for a journey that is a total gamble. It could save them, or it could shatter the family for good. Okay, so verse 11. A defeated Jacob lays out the plan. It's like you can hear him sigh as he says, "All right, if it has to be this way, then do this." He tells them to pack a gift, the very best things their starving land can still produce. We're talking a little balm, honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts, almonds. This isn't just a host gift, it's a desperate plea, a peace offering to a man who holds their lives in his hand. Now for Jacob's final instructions, his last desperate gambit. In verse 12, he says, "Take double the money, plus the original silver that magically showed up in their bags." Then, verse 13, the command that must have felt like a knife twisting, "Take your brother also." And finally, verse 14, this is just heartbreaking. He says a prayer, and then this statement of total surrender. You can just see his shoulders slump as he says, "If I am bereaved, I am bereaved." It's him accepting that he might lose another son. So the brothers make it to Egypt. They've got the gift, the money, and Benjamin. They've done everything their father asked, but their journey is about to take a hard left turn into pure terror.
Let's walk through it. Verse 15, they arrive and stand before Joseph. Verse 16, Joseph's eyes lock on Benjamin, and he immediately tells his house steward to take these men to his home and prepare a meal. Verse 17 confirms it. They're led away. But wait a minute, not to the grain silos, but to the ruler's personal house. This is not what happened last time, and their confusion is quickly turning into cold fear. And that brings us to verse 18. As they're walking through this rich, opulent house, absolute panic kicks in. The text says it plainly. The men were afraid. You can just imagine them whispering to each other, "It's the money. This is a trap. He's going to accuse us of being thieves and make us his slaves." Their minds are racing to the worst possible conclusion.
So in verse 19, before they even get all the way inside, they pull the steward aside. Verses 20 through 22 are just a torrent of panicked words. They're stumbling over each other, voices shaking, trying to explain how they found the money in their sacks. They swear they brought it back, plus extra money for more grain. They're desperately trying to clear their names before they're even accused.
But the steward's reply in verse 23 must have felt like whiplash. It's the complete opposite of what they expect. He just says calmly, "Peace be with you, don't be afraid." And then he says something stunning. "Your God has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money." And as if to prove it, he brings out their brother Simeon, alive and well. Imagine the wave of shocked relief washing over them. Okay, so the threat of slavery seems to be gone. But the tension? Oh, it is far from over. Because now we are moving to the emotional core of this whole story. Joseph, the all-powerful ruler, is about to see his only full brother, Benjamin, for the first time in over 20 years.
So after they get settled, verse 26 tells us Joseph comes home. The brothers immediately present their gift and bow down to the earth, just like in his dream all those years ago. In verses 27 and 28, Joseph asks them very pointedly about their old father, and they answer so carefully, so respectfully, bowing down again. The air is just thick with everything that's being left unsaid.
And then we get to verse 29. This is the moment. Joseph lifts his eyes, and he sees him, Benjamin, his mother's son, for the first time since he was a boy. The whole world just narrows to the two of them. You can hear the emotion catch in his throat as he asks, "Is this your younger brother?" And before they can even answer, he looks right at Benjamin and says, "God be gracious to you, my son." And that's it. Verse 30. It's too much for him. A whole lifetime of pain and love and longing just crashes over him in a single wave. He has to get out of there. Imagine this powerful ruler of Egypt turning on his heel and rushing out of the room, desperate to find a private chamber where he can just break down and weep. It's an incredible, raw moment of vulnerability.
Joseph finally pulls himself together, but this emotional roller coaster is not done yet. Now we move to a feast, but this is no celebration. It is filled with strange, unsettling details that are designed to leave the brothers completely bewildered.
In verse 31, Joseph washes his face, gets himself under control, and orders the food to be served. Now look at the seating arrangement from verse 32. It is immediately weird. Joseph eats by himself, the Egyptians with him eat by themselves, and the brothers, they're given their own table. This was because of Egyptian customs, but for the brothers, it just would have made them feel even more isolated and watched.
And then comes the moment in verse 33 that must have sent a chill down their spines. They are seated in their exact birth order, from Reuben, the oldest, all the way down to Benjamin, the youngest. The scripture says they just looked at each other in astonishment. I mean, how? How could this stranger possibly know this intimate secret of their family? It's like he could see right into their soul.
The final detail of this bizarre meal comes in verse 34. Food is brought from Joseph's personal table over to theirs, but Benjamin's plate is piled 5 times higher than anyone else's. Not 2 times, not a little more, 5 times. This is such a specific, dramatic act of favoritism. It's an honor, sure, but it's also a test, a very pointed test. And though they drink and are merry, you know this has to be messing with their heads.
So that's where we leave them, at this strange feast, with this shocking display of favor for the youngest brother. And you have to remember, the last time a father showed this kind of favoritism with a special gift, a certain coat of many colors, it sparked a jealousy so deep it tore their family apart. So the question hanging in the air is simple. As Joseph watches his brother's reactions, is he about to discover that they've changed? Or is history about to repeat itself?